Reading. 1. Pre-reading. Discuss. If you were in a foreign country, which of the following places would you like to explore and why? Mountains, desert, plains, valleys. What are the dangers for people traveling in or exploring those places? Which place would you like to explore? If I were in a foreign country, I would most like to explore the mountains. Firstly, I'm fascinated by the idea of reaching a summit, the highest point. The feeling of looking out over the world from above the clouds must be incredible. Mountains are also often steeped in history and myth. For example, in countries like Nepal or Peru, local cultures have stories and traditions connected to the peaks that are centuries old. Furthermore, mountain landscapes change dramatically as you climb. You might start in a green, forested valley, pass through a rocky, windy zone, and finally reach a snowy peak. This variety in one journey is very appealing. You're not just seeing one thing, you're experiencing a whole world of different ecosystems. Finally, it's a personal challenge. It requires planning, resilience, the ability to keep going when it's tough, and respect for nature. The sense of achievement after a good hike is a wonderful reward. What are the dangers of exploring mountains? While exciting, mountains can be very dangerous. It's crucial to be aware of the risks. Weather. Conditions can change in the blink of an eye. Sunshine can turn to thick fog, heavy rain, or a blizzard very quickly, making it easy to get lost or suffer from hypothermia when your body temperature gets dangerously low. Terrain. The ground can be unstable. There's a risk of slipping on loose rocks, crossing dangerous crevices, deep cracks in glaciers, or triggering a small avalanche, a sudden fall of snow down a mountain. Altitude sickness. As you go higher, the air gets thinner with less oxygen. This can cause headaches, dizziness, and nausea. In severe cases, it can be life-threatening and requires immediate descent. Isolation. Help can be far away. If you have an accident or get lost, mobile phone signals are often non-existent. That's why explorers should never go alone and must tell someone their plan. Key takeaway: the beauty of mountains comes with real risks. Successful exploration isn't about being fearless, it's about being well-prepared, informed, and always putting safety first. The Country of the Saints. Chapter 1. On the Great Alkali Plain. Somewhere in the center of the great North American continent, there is a dry and inhospitable desert, which has for many years prevented the spread of civilization. It covers an area from the Sierra Nevada to Nebraska, and from the Yellowstone River in the north to the Colorado River in the south. This miserable and barren landscape combines mountains, valleys, rivers, and enormous plains, which in winter are white with snow and in summer gray with dust. The only inhabitants of this land are the coyote and grizzly bears that search amongst the rocks for something to eat. A lonely traveler stood on the northern slope of the Sierra Blanco, from which he could see this huge land of miserable nothingness. He looked at the great flat plain land and the chain of mountain peaks on the horizon in despair. There was no sign of life, no movement on the dull gray earth, and no sound to break the absolute silence. As he looked down, he saw a pathway that stretched across the desert. This was the path that so many adventurers had taken in the hope of finding water, but what became of them was clear, as here and there were white objects which shone in the sun and stood out against the gray sand. They were bones, some large and some small. They belonged to oxen and men. It is difficult to say if the traveler was nearer to 40 or to 60. His face was thin and worn. His eyes were sunken in his head. The hand which held the rifle was like a skeleton's. It was clear that he was dying from hunger and thirst. He had climbed here in hope of seeing some signs of water. Now, the plain stretched before his eyes, without a sign anywhere of a plant or tree which might indicate the presence of it. There was no sign of hope. He realized that his journey had come to an end and that he was about to die. Before sitting down, he put his useless rifle and a large bundle, which he had been carrying with great difficulty the whole time, on the ground. The minute the bundle touched the ground, a cry was heard, and a small, scared face with bright brown eyes appeared from it. "You've hurt me," said a child's voice. "Have I?" he asked gently. "I didn't mean to." As he spoke, he unwrapped the gray blanket that held the bundle together and took out a little girl of about 5 years of age. The child was pale and weak, but her healthy arms and legs showed that she had suffered less than her companion. "How is it now?" he asked anxiously, as she was still rubbing the back of her head. "Kiss it and make it well," she said, showing the injured part to him. "That's what Mother used to do. Where's Mother?" "Mother's gone. I guess you'll see her before long." "Funny she didn't say goodbye. She's been gone for nearly 3 days. Say, it's very dry, isn't it? Isn't there any water or anything to eat?" "No, there isn't anything, dearie. You'll just need to be patient for a while, and then you'll be all right. Put your head up against me like that, and then you'll feel better." After she had said a prayer, the child fell asleep. He watched over her for some time, but then he too fell asleep. Far away in the distance, a cloud of dust began to rise, and as it came nearer to where the child and man were sleeping, it became clear that a group of nomads was heading in their direction. Reading for gist. The text on page 31 is an excerpt from a novel. Read it quickly and answer the following question. In which order can you find the following in the text? A description of the main character, a description of where the story takes place, a conversation between two characters, a description of a particular location. Reading for details. Read the text again and answer the questions 1 to 7. Choose A, B, C, or D. What is characteristic of the landscape? A, it consists only of enormous plains. B, it combines various natural features. C, it is always covered with gray dust. D, it is inhabited by various animal species. What does the pathway prove? A, that other travelers had tried to cross the desert. B, that other travelers had found water. C, that the man was not alone. D, that there was no reason to despair. What does the traveler see on the pathway? A, man-made objects. B, white sand. C, bones. D, men and oxen. What conclusion do we reach after reading the traveler's description? A, he is tired but feels optimistic. B, he is 60 but looks 40. C, he is very weak. D, he has a strong chance of survival. Why had the man climbed the Sierra Blanco? A, to see the dry land. B, to look for signs of water. C, to find the pathway. D, to view the plain from above. What do we learn about the little girl? A, she is dying. B, she is big for her age. C, she has injured herself badly. D, she is healthier than the man. It is evident from the passage that A, the man doesn't care about the little girl. B, the little girl's mother is going to join them. C, the man is sure that everything is going to be all right. D, the man is concerned about the little girl. Guessing the meaning of unknown words. Match the words 1 to 6 from the text with the meanings A to H. There are two extra meanings that you do not need to use. Inhospitable, line 2. Barren, line 7. Huge, line 14. Absolute, line 19. Indicate, line 34. Companion, line 50. A person you are traveling with. B, complete. C, character. D, not pleasant to live in. E, dry and without any plants. F, bring. G, very big. H, show. Post-reading. Discuss. Did you like the extract? Why not? What do you think will probably happen next in the story? What makes you think so? Did you like the extract? Yes, I found it very gripping. It wasn't a happy story, but it was powerfully written and made me feel like I was right there in the desert with the characters. Why not? I liked it because the author did a brilliant job of building a sense of atmosphere. The descriptions of the barren landscape, the absolute silence, and the bones on the path created a strong feeling of hopelessness and danger. You could almost feel the dryness and the despair. More than that, the relationship between the man and the little girl was very moving. Despite his own weakness and the terrible situation, he is gentle with her, calling her dearie and trying to comfort her. This contrast between the harsh setting and his tender care is what makes the story so memorable. It teaches us about human compassion, even in the most desperate circumstances. What do you think will probably happen next? I think the nomads, the traveling group mentioned at the end, will find the man and the girl. They will likely save them by giving them water and food. What makes you think so? There are a few clues in the text. Foreshadowing. The author specifically mentions the cloud of dust and the nomads heading in their direction. In storytelling, this is rarely mentioned unless it will be important for the plot. Dramatic tension. The characters are at their lowest point, asleep, dying, and helpless. Having them discovered creates a turning point. It raises the question, are these nomads friendly, or is there another danger? A glimmer of hope. The little girl is described as slightly healthier. The man has protected her this far. It would be a very bleak or hopeless story if they both simply died. Introducing the nomads gives the reader a sliver of hope, which is a common technique to keep us reading. New vocabulary and concept. Deus ex machina. Sometimes in stories, a sudden, unexpected solution arrives to save the characters from a hopeless situation. This is sometimes called a deus ex machina, a Latin phrase meaning God from the machine. The arrival of the nomads might feel a bit like this. As a reader, it will be interesting to see if their arrival feels like a natural part of the story or a convenient rescue.